Hey guys, this is going to be page 54 of your workbook to walk through these problems and make sure we're doing them correctly and you to check your work. So here we go. So number one, you're writing in slope-intercept form, and again you got to remember that it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so now you just have to go through, find your x1, your y1, and they've already written this as m for you. So now all you have to do is substitute in. So we've got y minus y1 is 7 equals, put in your slope, and then in parentheses x minus x1, which is 2, and close the parentheses and we're done. Okay, so with number 2, again, here's x1 and y1. They've given you m already, so now substitute those in. Y minus y1 is 5 equals, slope is negative 3 times x minus x1 is 12. No double negatives. That's our equation. Just leave it alone. Okay? 3. Again, x1, y1. They tell you m. Substitute them in. So you have y minus negative 5 equals your slope 6 times x minus 4. Here we do have double negatives, so that becomes y plus 5, and that equals 6 times x minus 4. Okay, continuing on, and I already see a little mistake right there because I just crossed out that 3, and we need to see that later. All right, so over here, okay, some of you are already seeing that if it's a negative number, you're going to have a plus sign. If it's a positive number, you're going to have a minus sign between the y and the x. So if you see that, then you're going to be going y plus 2 equals, your slope is 3 times x plus 6, parentheses, and you're done. Okay, so that way you don't have to worry about looking for double negatives or anything like that. You just know, change the sign between the y and the number, the x and the number. Okay, so if you look at number 5, same thing. The y1 is negative 6. So, oops, sorry about that. Thinking about slope-intercept form here. So that's going to be y plus 6 equals your slope times x, and since it's a positive 7, minus 7 in your equation. Okay? And then 6, again, your y1 is 2, so that's going to be minus 2 equals your slope, which is negative 3/4, times x. Since x1 is negative 8, it's going to be a plus 8. And that is your equation. Okay? So, if you still have to label them as x1, y1, and sometimes you may have to just write it down over here off to the side and then put them in, that's okay too. Okay? And then if you have to label them, like in number 3, on the point, and then sometimes you just know the pattern and just plug and chug. Okay? All right, next part is going to be graphing here. So we've got your y1 and x1. Okay, and since they're both positive in the equation, that means as a point they are going to be negative. And remember, x goes before y in the alphabet, so x goes before y in ordered pairs. All right, then the only number left, this negative 3, has to be your slope. So we go, plot the point, negative 2, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right down there. And our slope is -3. So that means it is -3 over 1. So that means we go down 3, right 1, but we can only go down 2. So that means we have to think of it as 3 over -1. So that means up 3, left 1. So up 1, 2, 3, left 1. There's our next point. Again, up 3, left 1. And now we put in our line. Okay, please use a ruler on this or a straight edge. Make it look nice. Okay. It always feels good when I grade papers that have nice straight lines and they look pretty. Okay. So here we go again. Next up, we got y1, x1, and m. So that means our point that we start off with is at, since it's a -2 for x1, it's a +2 in the point. And then y1 is +3, so change it. Change the sign. And -3 will be the y-coordinate. And then again, our slope is -2. Think of it as -2 over 1. Okay, so plot the point, 2, -3. Follow your slope, down 2, right 1. And draw your line. And there you go. Okay. The next two, again, we got y1, x1. We have m. So now our point, again, the opposite of +6 is -6. Opposite of -1 is +1. So there's your point. Our slope is 3 over 1. Okay. And so now we plot our first point, -6, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -6, and then to +1. Okay, there's our point. Now we follow our slope up 3. 1, 2, 3. To the right 1. There's our point. And now once we have 2 points, we can draw a line. Again, please use a ruler or straight edge. Boom. There you go. Okay. And the last graph one here, we got y1, x1, and our slope. So this means our x-coordinate of our first point is going to be the opposite of -3, which is +3. The y-coordinate of our first point is the opposite of +4, which is -4. And then our slope is -5 over 2. Or we may need to switch that around and make it 5 over -2. So we go up 5, left 2. But we'll see when we graph here. So our first point is at 3, -4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right 3, down 4. Put a dot. Okay, and only start from the origin where the two arrows cross. And then now if we do -5 over 2, there we go. We go down 5, off the grid, can't do it. So we don't want to use that one. We want to use up 5, left 2. So up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, left 2. There's our point. And now with a straight edge, draw our line through those 2 points. And there is graphing. Okay? Now here, write an equation given the graph, okay? And it says use the right-hand point, okay? So here, to write the equation, we need to know the coordinates of that point right there. And that is at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So at the point 4, 3. So that means x1 equals 4, y1 equals 3. And then we have to calculate the slope. Since they give us a second point, we can make that slope triangle right there, where our rise is 1, and then that's over our run of 1, 2, 3, 4. And so now we just write our equation. Okay, y minus y1, or since y1 is positive 3, you make it a minus 3. Your slope is 1/4. And then x, and since x1 is positive 4, we have to make it a minus 4. And there's your equation. Okay? All right, 12. Same thing, identify that point. Right there, that is the point 3, 1. So x1 is 3, y1 is 1. Then you have to find the slope. There's your rise, there's your run. The rise is 3, the run is 1. So your slope is 3/1, which is just 3. Now put that into your formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. No double negatives, so we are done. Okay. And our last graphing problem, this is the right-hand point, and that is at the point 1, -1. So x1 is 1, y1 is -1. And then you have to find the slope. So they give you this left point, and you have to find the rise and the run. The rise is 1, 2, 3. The run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that gives us a rise of 3 over a run of 6, and we reduce that that fraction to 1/2. Now that we have those numbers, we can write the equation. So y minus y1, which is -1, equals 1/2 times x minus x1, which is 1. And as you can see right here, we have ourselves a double negative, and so our equation becomes y plus 1 equals 1/2 x minus 1. And that is our final equation. Okay? So here we go. Write the equation, passes through the 2 points. So again, just choose one. Let's see here. Our equations say use the first point. So this has to be our x1 and y1. And for the other 2 problems, the same thing. Okay? So x1 is 4, y1 is 7. Now we have to find the slope. So again, our rise. How do you go from 7 to 1? That's subtracting 6. How do you go from 4 to 5? That's adding 1. So your slope is going to be -6/1, which is just -6. Now put that into our equation. Our formula, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And we look at it, no double negatives. That's our equation. Okay? 15. Again, x1 is 9, y1 is -2, and then we have to calculate our slope. So how do you go from -2 to 2? You're going to add 4. How do you go from 9 to negative 3? You're going to subtract 12. So that means our slope is going to be positive 4 over negative 12. And if you reduce that by 4, you get negative 1/3. Now we put things into our formula. Y minus y1, which is negative 2, equals our slope negative 1/3 times x minus x1, which is 9. Now if you look, we have ourselves a double negative right there. So this becomes y plus 2 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 9. And that's our equation. And the last problem, okay, again we got our x1 is 3, y1 is negative 8. And I think we have a little bit of a typo here. This should be the point 7 comma negative 2. That is a kind of a goofy thing. All right, so now here we go. What do you do to negative 8 to get negative 2? You have to add 6. What do you do to 3 to get 7? You have to add 4. So now you have a rise of 6, run of 4. Our slope is rise of 6 over the run of 4. Now, 6 over 4 can be reduced by 2, which means we get 3/2 as our slope. So now we go and substitute everything in. Y minus y1 equals our slope times x minus x1, which is positive 3. Now if you look, we have ourselves a double negative, and so therefore we must make that y plus 8 equals 3/2 times x minus 3. And that is page 54. Page 55, 56, 57, 58 will be on the next videos.